Hey Daniel, how's it going? I've got kind of a weird little setup going on here because it's tough for me to see the chat, so the window is going to be a little smaller. As you can see, it doesn't go all the way to the edge there, but hopefully it's okay. Tonight we're going to be working on the flats for Undersea Hero. Uh, Quick update. We've finished the lettering. We're moving right along with the flats. We've got, I think, 20 pages to go on flats. The team's working real hard to get those done. Yeah, we're cruising right along. So um, yeah, let's see what we can do. I had to yeah, doing flats. I have to kind of like have the screen a little wonky in order to be able to see the chat and the Photoshop screen. So bear with me. But I don't know if you can see. Can you see the layer window? No, you can just see the main window. So, all right. Am I back? I think it lost connection. This is pushing my computer to its limits. So see how it goes. We've got our reference on a separate layer. So what I like to do is I like to grab a single color, and then we have our flat layer on multiply. I use all kinds of different tools, so bear with me if I'm going too fast. There's a little cleanup here and there that needs to get done. It's pretty simple. It's not a difficult process. I'm able to show people how to do this fairly quickly. So if I always tell people, like, if you're looking to break into comics and work on, you know, maybe bigger projects than a skill set would normally give you the opportunity, or lack of experience would give you an opportunity to work on. Um, Learning how to do flats is a great way to do it. I've got a few different color refs on here, so I really can't tell what you can see. So yeah, you can see that. What I like to do is I like to block out shapes, and it doesn't really matter what your colors are at this point. I can shrink this. So wonky. It says we're still live, so. The most important tools I would say are the pencil tool and then the paint bucket tool. So that way you have nice hard edges. We're just laying down flat colors today. This is not really anything close to the final coloring of these things, but it's a necessary step. Right now I'm just blocking this out. It has to be precise enough. I've got this layer that I'm working on set to multiply, and it's on a white background, so what it'll do is it'll pass through anything that is between it. And I used to do this with a mouse back before I had a tablet or a Wacom or anything, and it was just part of the process. Um, Before we had, tablets and these sorts of things. Um, yeah. Yeah, this is where Undersea Hero is in trouble, and he calls his good friend Radio Bear. And Radio Bear is, I'll scroll down, as you can see, he's a bear with a radio. It's very high concept, really avant-garde of a bear with a radio. And the idea was that this plane crashed, and it's like a World War II bomber. And you can see the little bear cave that's here. And then you can see the skeletons. And then you can see that there's an extension cord from the cockpit to his little radio that when Undersea Hero calls him, and that's what these little electrical lines signify, is that there's a call coming in. And he basically says like bear noises into his radio. And people don't know if Undersea Hero can understand him or not, but it gives Undersea Hero what he needs when he's in the fray. Using the words of like Sergio Aragonés, Gru is always in search of the fray. And Radio Bear lives alone on this desert island. There are other characters that interact with Radio Bear. One of them's named Coral. There will be a joke about that at a certain point. Why did I draw so many darn trees? I think people would have understood that it was a desert island or like a tropical island, excuse me. He does. He talks through the radio. He makes bear noises through the radio. And Liquid Lad doesn't believe that Undersea Hero understands the noises as language. But there are some times where he wonders, and that's kind of the gag where it's like, and one of the t-shirts that we had planned was an I Speak Radio Bear t-shirt. And it'll be a very inside joke for the handful of people that watch this and will pick up the book. I was working on after I finished the lettering, I was working on the surveys for Undersea Hero, the Kickstarter stuff, so that people can send me the addresses they want stuff shipped to, if they want things personalized, stuff like that. I generally sign pretty much everything anyway. And one of the things I think that people may or may not have picked up on is that I just, for the watercolor and pen and ink stuff, I just did Undersea Hero pieces, and that's what'll go out. Hey, Jonathan. It is warm in here, yes. It's a bit stuffy, and I think it's best that I'm not on camera. Even my hand would be sweaty. so you can just see. I'm not even going in and outlining like these little spaces because honestly, when these get filled in with just like a solid color, um, those little spaces we'll never even notice. Because right now I do my coloring at 11 by 17, and then it gets reduced down to print size after we do the CMYK plates, which give it that vintagey look, and it does the it artificially creates the Ben-Day dots in Photoshop that are then printed with high quality laser printers. This will be a digitally printed book. I did not get enough orders to run it on a press, um, at least for this run. So, it's a giant book. It's actually going to be, there are extra pages that are going to go in it because a friend of mine did a beautiful Undersea Hero piece and I want to include it. So I have to actually add 4 extra pages. So there will be 4 more pages. I'm going to put a little gallery that shows all the variant covers. So even if you just got the main cover, you get to see the beautiful artwork that like Craig and John and Rich did for me. So that way you at least get to see them. And I don't know. I guess I could spill the beans. I could, it's Gabe Crate, another Tick alumni artist, did an incredible piece for me, and I've just been trying to figure out if I'd put it on the back cover or if it should be on the inside or it should be saved for a future cover. And I think the best thing to do would be to include it in the book. Um, and I'll foot the bill for the extra pages. In for a penny, in for a pound at this point. I don't think I will do, because it's not an official cover. It won't have one of the stretch goal prints made of it, but it will be included in the book. It was just a surprise that Gabe did it, let alone did it so wonderfully. Gabe actually left comics and he's been working in the film industry for a long time now. He's worked on comic book features. Like he worked on the animatic opening credits for Wonder Woman. So like that animated sequence at the beginning of the film, he worked on that. He's done a million storyboards. I know he's been trying to cross over into creating his own films, and he was working on a project pre-COVID that got stuck in like a scheduling conflict. And I don't know if he's finished it. He might have. I have not asked him in some time. I should have the last time I talked to him. That was improper of me to not ask him about that. See, now I get to have that anxiety in my head of like, is he mad at me for not asking about his feature film that he was working on? And I don't know. Layers. Don't need libraries, need layers. There it is. What the heck is going on here? What did we miss? Gotta make sure everything's connected. There's another gap. There's another one. Was I asleep at the switch? What was happening? Gee. Oop, there we go. I meant to tell you, Jonathan. In my neck of the woods, we now get Svengoolie again. We get Me TV up the road here, not too far from you. So I don't know if you guys have gotten it back as well in the old neighborhood, but been enjoying the Svengoolie again and watching. Have I seen FF? I haven't seen FF. I'd like to. I heard people really enjoyed it, so I really enjoyed Superman. So like, I don't know, why not give it a shot? I really liked the guy that plays Ben Grimm in The Bear. I don't know if anybody else watched that TV show. It's on Hulu. It's about a restaurant in Chicago, and he plays a character who goes through a major tragedy, like the entire all the characters do, and then I don't know. He has a really fantastic He plays a character named Richie. I don't want to spoil it because it's a worthwhile watch if you haven't seen him. Why did I draw so many trees on this? Somebody fire the artist. Oh well, we'll just put another little rock formation over here because it'll look more authentic. My stupid brain probably said. Okay. And this is how long it takes to color these. And this is just the first step of the process of coloring. Like, now we have to go in here. And because I'm stupid, I made too many. Have you seen FF, Jonathan? Did you see it? Did you like it? Most of the people I've talked to have enjoyed it. You know, take it with a grain of salt when you hear it from. Oh no, that's fine. I have been calling for skipping the origin stories for a while, so I'm glad that it's happening. Um, because otherwise we're just stuck with them remaking the same movie over and over again. I always thought that we'd find. I mean, does this mean we're finally at the point like, do we have to show James Bond's origin every movie? No, like the comic book basic um, origin is pretty well established at this point. I would hope. My swatch is over there. I don't need the navigator. I have not talked to Jeff McClellan, and he is the foremost expert on all things Fantastic Four. I would regard him as a person who would be consulted for a film at this point. His level of expertise and fandom. So, and he'll be honest about it. He won't just like it just because it's the Fantastic Four. I thought his assessment of the last FF movie was pretty spot on, and I didn't even make it through that whole movie. Sorry. No judgment to the people who made it. I was on a flight. Hey, Michael, I'm doing okay. I'm trying something new tonight, so we'll see if people find it incredibly boring. But this is the step we're at because we finished the lettering. I actually had to research a new printer. Um, yeah, I agree. I agree, Jonathan. It's not necessary. Like if you wanna through some dialogue, like be like, hey, remember when, or just throw like an Easter egg to something, fine. But yeah, we don't need the full on origin stories anymore. And then sometime down the line when they want to do something, with a character that we haven't heard of. And that's another thing. Like I've really enjoyed the projects that have basically starred characters that nobody has any attachment to. Because like I refuse to watch any trailers because I don't want any spoilers. But I'm really looking forward to season 2 of Peacemaker. I love the first season. People know I'm a big Charlton Comics guy, but it's really not like the Charlton books. It's like the '80s Manhunter, Paul Kupperberg corner of the DCU, with like Doom Patrol and Suicide Squad. That John Ostrander wrote. Yeah, no, I think that's all you need if they just gave you a little, like, you know, we got zapped by in a line of dialogue, the news reporter says, "Reed Richards, there's a horrible threat. Your family has been helping us since you were zapped by cosmic rays on that space mission gone awry. How do you stay a family?" or whatever. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, he was in that one. He was in the previous Fantastic Four movie. I haven't seen too many of his films. I didn't see any of the Creed movies because, like, Rocky's fine and all, but I don't know. They didn't need 10 million sequels. I'm sure they're fine. I would say I would wager to say they're entertaining, most likely, but I didn't feel like I needed to go to the theater for them. Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's interesting because, like, the Fantastic Four, like in the comics, they are ripe for the campiness, just with all the hot foots and the Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm rivalry stuff. Them both being engaged to Alicia Masters. And look, there are some great runs on the comic book. I was actually just looking at one of the forgotten great runs the other day. Everybody remembers the wonderful Wade Ringo run, but I don't think very many people remember the awesome Pacheco uh, Jeff Loeb run. Jesus Marino was Pacheco's anchor, and it was awesome. An awesome book. I did look at some pictures for reference for this, so it was not completely like shooting from the hip on the bomber here. Swatches. Need a medium, neutral. It's too dark. Medium, neutral, medium, neutral. A little lighter. Yeah. You've seen very high and low reviews of First Steps, nothing in between. Well, we'll just have to go see it and judge for ourselves, right? Only movie I've seen in the theater this summer was Superman, and I enjoyed it. So I'll go see another one. I don't know what it'll be next, but I just don't get out to the movies all that much. Because I spend all my time working on this book. If I'm being honest, my wife's at a concert tonight, and if I didn't have this to work on, I probably would have gone. Stuff we do for silly little pamphlets. Let's knock out some greenery here, shall we? Once you get a few things outlined, they sort of all. Pat asks if this is the South Pacific. This is just a made-up tropical island where a radio bear lives. Whenever we get this panel done, we'll actually get to color in. There's Radio Bear walking towards his radio, and there's Radio Bear on his radio. I was going to ask one of my probably, I'm not going to say who it was, but probably one of my most famous friends to do a voice for Radio Bear for like a reading, if we ever get to doing like a reading of the comic, which I would like to do because I have so many friends that are supremely talented voice actors and stuff. So if I could drag some of that in. Hey Joshua, how's it going? We're doing the nitty gritty of comic book making tonight, and comic book flatting is not. It's a comic coloring is vitally important to making a comic book, and I would say that the people who do the flats get the least amount of recognition. And when I worked at AR, Fat Cat Funnies, and for Iron Face with Saturday morning cartoons. I always listed the flatters because this labor is not a small step in the production process. It's a very large step, and I think people that are good at it deserve to be recognized. And you know, I think that's just how it is. Whoops. Close that off. Just fill those in. If I could go back in time and tell myself when I started this page, you don't need that many damn trees, I would do that. Because we don't need that many damn trees. We'll have to soften up some of the sand colors and things like that when we get an opportunity. I do go to the movie theater. I actually tend to go more in the wintertime. It seems in the fall there seems to be more, the dramas and stuff. I don't go to as many of the big blockbusters I used to. I will have to go see the next Dune movie. I saw some of the trailers that came out of Comic Con for movies that I was not as keen on, like the Tron movie. I don't really have any interest in seeing another Jared Leto action feature. Um, so I'll probably skip that one in the theater. As much as I love Tron and the original one with all the Mobius designs, I think that's a universe that is ripe for expansion, but the creative choice to put it in the hands of Jared Leto as your star, he's not a person that his performances don't drive me to the movie theater. I like that Jeff Bridges is in it. I love Jeff Bridges, but yeah, don't know if I'll see that one in the theater. I don't need to see another Predator or Alien movie ever again. So, like, very, very unlikely unless something comes out that compels me to go to those. I highly doubt it. Or if my level of boredom just exceeds my possible contemplation at this moment. Not impossible, just not like I'm not itching to go see any of those movies. I have watched some of the panels from San Diego online. Like they had the Conan the Barbarian panel, they had the Kevin Smith panel. Yeah, they have a bunch of the panels on their YouTube page right now. Not sure where all my edges are right now, so I'm just kind of guessing. Have not had much time to read lately. I've been reading just back issues of Uncanny X-Men that my parents dropped off when they visited. They dropped off a box of comics, and it was mostly old issues of X-Men. So I've been really enjoying those. Some of them are better than I remember. Some of them are worse. Some artists that I thought very highly of as a kid, I can see, having learned so much, I can see them with different eyes now. And in some cases, I think more of them. In some cases, I think less. And there were so many issues in the era in which I was reading where like 3 artists on an issue, um, definitely deadline issues because of it, or they did it because of deadline issues. So it's been interesting. I have read Robinson Crusoe many years ago, and the Robinson Crusoe on Mars comic book adaptation, fantastic. There is a comic book of that. There's a couple of different outer space Robinson Crusoes. DC did one, I think. I mean, we all know Lost in Space was originally called Space Family Robinson, which was for Swiss Family Robinson. Didn't I color this one? I guess not. I think there's going to be more green over here. I'll just have it lined up on the edges of the rocks. Maybe that connect. Sounds like a sand color. Now I remember some of the design idea I had behind some of this. If you see something disappear, with my other hand, I have it over the keyboard, and I use this the Control Z to go backwards and fix it. I do have something from my other job that'll be coming out soon that I'm looking forward to sharing with folks. I don't think I can say anything yet, but as soon as I can, I will. I will promote it. Where did that? There we go. Yeah, we definitely had more green to fill in over there. I think that's all I needed for the island. If I had just done this instead of all of this. Yeah, is that the oversized one, Patrick? I remember it um, being one of Jurgens's better books that I liked. For me, one of the ones I liked more. I'll phrase it that way. I think Art T. Bear inked it, and the big Alex Ross cover. It was a treasury size book. Yeah, it's a great book. I think this is why much of my future work will be in ink wash and grayscale. I don't know if I want to spend my life coloring like this. I actually think this is supposed to be. Yeah, there we go. I actually have found coloring mistakes in many books where things are filled in that shouldn't be filled in, or things that are the wrong color or whatever. It's interesting. And those are books with teams of multiple people. So I need to go a little lighter. Let's try this one. Nope, need to go lighter. There we go. Well, I've been glad to hear from retailers that the Superman movie has had people coming into the store to buy Superman comics. When for years, you know, for the most part, it was just Batman comics that people were going to buy. And I'm glad that we have a DC universe that is not, Batman and then let's try to make a few others. It's we are establishing everyone else. And then when that's right, we've got this other character, this other beloved character to let loose. And I do hope that they do one separate from the Batman movies. There's too much green in some parts and not enough in others. So you're gonna have to make some decisions here. This, this. Oh, that's very cool. Going to the Galapagos. Yeah, you got to go through all kinds of different checks and things. It's my understanding because of the ecosystem there. Now I do a good chunk of my shading just in flat colors. It's very cool. Do I have a favorite animal to draw? I don't know. I've never, when I was a kid, I liked drawing um, penguins of all kinds. I still do. Um, One of the beauties of this book is I do get to draw lots of animals. Dinosaurs are cool. Different types of fish are cool. Hermit crabs, fun to draw. Do you have a favorite animal to draw? I'll see how long this one panel is taking because I was stupid. I did enjoy Shark Week a great deal this year. I don't know if anybody else partakes in the grand tradition of Shark Week every July. They had more episodes that were not just, "Hey, sharks are scary," which was nice. Ah, yes, the M-shaped birds, the extended M's. Very nice. EJ did a very nice book about, birds. EJ Barnes, she did a very nice book about different birds of, I think it was of the Atlantic? I don't remember. But yeah, that was, I think that was the first book I read of hers, and I think that was before I read Lingmaster, which I thought that was a great book. Okay. Too dark. We need a little more yellow. Baltic. There you go. There's the wet sand down by the water. And this is just the flats, so like that'll tell you the amount of labor that goes into the finished colors. And we're just on this one dang panel. Too dark. Too blue. Need a little more neutral. We got some spam. Somebody asking if we want cheap viewers. It's too blue. Yeah, we'll go with that. Just a neutral. I can promise you on future issues where we see Radio Bear's headquarters that we will be reusing this shot. Copy paste. When I'm doing coloring like this, I'm thinking about back to my training as a painter, and it's very much the impasto paint being built up. Because when you zoom out at print size like that, you don't notice those hard edges. They're just there. When I zoom out, I need some more of this color in here. There's not enough of the lighter color. There we go. You have to look at the way the forms are going and then also just the balance of the overall composition. And I know this is nuts just because it's a tiny little establishing shot, but this is what I do. And we can come back in with white, and that's our glass. You see our broken glass. These are like the gunner's positions. And then when you do glass, you see that dark line right there? I see this happen all the time. People draw that dark line, but they don't realize that you're supposed to put a highlight on the other side of it. See, like right here? And that's what makes it pop. So like this, go for like a more yellowish green as the highlight. This is where I use a lot of instinct. Sometimes I can't always explain it. It's because of those years and years of painting that, like, you go in, you can feel where the light comes from. Our light source is kind of up and to the left, and then you just kind of balance out. You're looking at your composition and where the breaks need to be recognized and where your different pieces go. I remember when I sat down with C.B. Cebulski at Boston, and this was when I was in my 20s and I had just finished coloring the first like Helena ash can, and we were looking at it together. Ricky Purdon looked at it as well. He's one of the talent people at Marvel, and we talked about. He asked what I thought my greatest strengths and biggest weaknesses were, and I said at the time I thought my weakness was the coloring because, and then I showed him a painting I had done. I said because I'm trying to do this on this. And it wouldn't be for another several years that I figured out you can't do it exactly the same. You can use the color theory, but trying to do the painting techniques don't work perfectly. So it's like a modified version of like an impasto painting technique. And I think it makes my coloring unique. Some people don't like it, but my palette certainly has its detractors as well as its enthusiasts. Let's see how we're doing. And I told him my greatest strength was my storytelling, and we both agreed. And even at the time, that was my strength. Um, and again, I'm not getting bogged down with the angles, the highlights. It's too much. I don't like overly painted looking. What's the word? The digitally sheen painted, a digital painted look, just because I think it's too shiny and over rendered. Um, and I don't want it to be fighting with my line art. Hey Desiree, good to see you. We're working on the flats for the Radio Bear page, the Radio Bear introduction, and the establishing shot's just taking me forever. So we've mostly been coloring the desert island or tropical island where Radio Bear lives. It's a little too dark. If I could get like a C3Y2. There we go. Perfect. That's the mix. That's the ink mix. What I'm actually going to do is go like this. G. Boom. Anything big you think's going to happen on the trade deadline, Desiree, with the Dodgers out there? I guess the Red Sox were interested in one of your catchers. You did run into Jeff. I'm glad you did. I'm always happy when two really awesome people I know meet each other. Jeff's, yeah. You're both just really excellent people. So I'm glad you got to see each other. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Hopefully, with this book, I'll get back out there sometime soon. I don't know. Sometime between now and when I get, put in the ground. I saw your post about the George Lucas seats. That's very cool. Are these my seats post? Of course. Oh, it's my pleasure. MPA Asian artist. How do I sell mine drawing? Well, there's a lot of different ways to sell your drawing. You could sell them online if you're reselling drawing services, physical drawings. What type of drawings you selling? 30 hours. Wow. That is dedication. I remember when I went, I did see people camping out for the Hall H stuff. That first year I was there, it was kind of at the fervor of the Funko Pop thing. I'd never seen people like, they yell over the loudspeakers, "No running, no running!" Everyone's running. People are shoving each other. It's like Black Friday at the busiest store you've ever heard of. I need some super highlights. I'll just grab some white. People fought over magic cards in the Tron soundtrack this year. Uh, I saw it's funny, like, when I how things have changed. When I first started, people were taking their stuff to like, the front courtroom area, like, courtyard area, and taking pictures of the items from the giveaways and exclusives and posting them on eBay. Now people, as soon as they are out of line, just flip open their phones and go live on Whatnot and sell it directly on Whatnot. Alright. Well, it looks okay. I might add a little bit of yellow when I do the final coloring, but, I think that'll work as an establishing shot. Let's do some of these panels. They should go a little quicker. We can just grab some. Let me just grab some of our colors from over here real quick. Jonathan, it is weird to me, but there are people. I remember when the people I knew paid for their whole trip just with grabbing some of the freebies and selling them on eBay. Like, if you get one or two of the big items, you're talking covering your flight, covering your hotel. You get one of those big cast sign posters, and you film them doing it and you post it right away. I mean, that stuff, yeah, back then, like, that stuff sold like crazy. um, let's grab these and let's work on these. Now we might have to change the colors a bit now that I'm looking at it, because we're going to have right here, Radio Bear is the most important thing on this page. We don't want brown in front of brown, so I guess Radio Bear could be a black bear. I guess in my head, I didn't think of that possibility. Now, the beauty of I can go like this, and then like that, and then now they're all that blue color. Let's just change the color on stuff first. And then let's grab a color like this. And let's grab a color like this. And we'll grab like a navy-ish blue, like a darker blue. It's too dark. I feel like Hans Moleman. Was that panel your favorite thing of the weekend, Desiree, or was there anything that, like, any big? I mean, when you go to San Diego, there's always surprises. So, like, was there, other than seeing Jeff, of course? What do you think was the biggest surprise? See, and now we have a gray background, which is better for when we go like this. And we'll grab just C3. Is it C2? No, contiguous. It's 9 o'clock. We gotta get at least one Radio Bear in, right? let's just get this major, so because we don't want to really think of these as a shape. Um, excuse me, as a thing. I want to think of these as a shape. Oh, very cool. George Takei, yeah, very cool. I saw. Did he have a new graphic novel out? Did I see something about that? Thought I saw that he had a new graphic novel out. What was the other one? They Called Us Enemy. That was the last one, and then I don't remember what I saw. I think Jeff had it. Yeah. Yeah, out on the West Coast, the Godzilla still gets a lot of fandom. I don't see it as much on the East Coast. I don't know. People love the monster movies out here too. I just don't see the actors or the creators. Maybe it's just because it's so far away. Out on the West Coast, you're a little. I don't know how long a flight from Japan to Los Angeles or San Diego is, depending on where you're at flying out of in Japan. If you're flying out of Tokyo or uh, elsewhere. Versus meowing at me. We got the door open because it's just too hot to not have the door open. All right, we got Radio Bear chunked out here. Sometimes along the edges because of the way I do my panels, it's hard to see. Oh, okay, it was an anniversary. There we go. I need like an army green. Just to make it a better visual, I will pick a non-traditional color for the wire because we have that shot of the wire going from the cockpit here on the previous panel, and then it's like a curly wire that goes all the way to the back there. So I want a storytelling choice color, not a this is trying to be realistic color. So I'm thinking like a red. Yeah. Now, I'm sure that's not the color of the wire in real life of any sort of radio from the Air Force or whatever. But when we're making choices for a comic for storytelling, I want it to be clear what's going on and what's what. Now here I made a choice, and here's what I'm talking about when I say something is over-rendered. You see, I made a choice to use lines for shading here. I don't need any sort of gradient behind that. Let's just take, for example, the way it is right now, and instead of adding any sort of gradient, I'm just going to add a slightly darker solid color. And that's it, because otherwise it'll get muddy. And it's not too dark, it's just a little dark. You can see that that's enough separation. I'll use the same gray for this lip here, and then let's just, again, make a storytelling choice and go yellow for the light. And let's take this gray. Let's pick like a gold color. Some of these I'm making are just pure storytelling choices because I want things to be bright and visible. And that's like when this reproduces, these little lines are going to be so fine, like you're going to not be able to see them. I think for that portion, top. Oops. Let's just extend the green up here. Oops. Now, one of the reasons I spent the time on that first panel was to be able to define more of the colors I would need throughout the page, so I wouldn't have to like be inventing colors as I go along. We have our middle green. There's the green. And here I've made some decisions where like our light source hasn't moved, so it's still up and to the left. And for the purposes of this angle, the only thing that's going to have a highlight on it is that craggy edge there. And then right over here. Now that's what I would consider finished flats right there, where it's every space that needs to be defined has been defined. I do think I'm going to add one darker color if I can find the right one. I should do it. Oops. I just want the center of that little microphone area to be a different color. There we go. And for storytelling, let's see if we can just have it. No, that's the same color, so we can't use that. Hey, Martha's. We're doing okay. We're working on these flats. We'll be working for probably another 10 minutes or so. Let's do the UH here. So I'll do contiguous. How are these two connected? Oh, they're connected right there. I see. Yep, that makes sense. There we go. We can grab our reference that we have here. Let's just grab the UH colors that we need. There's like a skin, shadow. Yeah. Blue. Okay. Did we get the skin tone? We did. Hey, thanks, Desiree. Enjoy your dinner. When I get off the stream, I've got a piece of pie in the fridge that I'm going to have. Celebrate the. I don't even think we're going to get the flats done for this page because I spent too much time on the establishing shot. Now, if we could all go back in time and call me, text me, to not be an idiot about that scene and not be. I mean, there was no reason for all the excess stuff on there. That was just my ego. It's up to you. I can take a look at it tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to stay on the computer very long after I finish this. I've been on the screen a lot today because I was working from home, and just staring at the screen keeps me awake at night. So I have to be done with screen time no later than 10 o'clock, or I just don't sleep. And if I do get to sleep, it's not good sleep. Let's see. There we go. When I'm doing just flats, like I can fly. When I start adding those shadows and stuff, that's when, again, my stupid ego gets the best of me, and it's like, oh, well, why don't you add these details? How about I not and say that I did? I don't think you can see his shirt very much. Yeah, you can just see this little bit right here. This blue. Hey, Jeff McClellan's here. Very nice. We were just we're all waiting to hear your review of Fantastic Four before we make any assertions about it whatsoever, as we all recognize you as the foremost expert on the subject and entirely without bias whatsoever. And I hope you had an awesome Comic-Con. I was glad you and Desiree bumped into each other. I like when really nice people that I like see each other and meet each other. I'm sure you've met before at the NEC booth and everything. The late NEC booth, can we call it that at this point? Since they will very likely never go back. Grab the right yellow. Jesse has been cranking through the flats, so we gotta cut myself in and get some pages done. I signed out 3, so I should be able to get those done tomorrow. I won't shade them. And the 2 colors are no, as long as you can't tell that there's any sort of break, when the colors all stop at the black line, it creates a hairline in the printing. So like I show it at the beginning how I start these. I'll show it on a blank page. I'm sure I have a blank page here. Like the flats go here. I always start with just a flat color. Like I will just pick the main color and then fill in from there and cut out the gutters. Like I'll take the magic wand tool like that. Oh, and I messed it up. So I'm gonna have to go look down here and see where the break is. There's the break. I have to fill that in. Let me see if that did it. Yep, I'll be able to magic wand and then delete that. And that way, under all the lines, there is some color. There has to be some color. There just can't be any white there. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a tough one. I don't know what tools you have in front of you, so I don't know if there's like an equivalent. That's page 44. We're on page 45. See, this is what you call ego right here. Not just one establishing shot, 2 establishing shots. And I thought it was funny watching a bear trot out. Like you can see the little dust coming up from because he's trotting urgently. He's like in a hurry because he's getting called by his buddy, you know. But let's just finish the flats for this panel and then we'll call it a night. I gotta finish the little Undersea Hero logo, which is actually, it's nice that I'm basically the same color here, here, here. Those are all the same. And then the Undersea Hero logo is really simple. It's just a white U with a light blue. Oh, I got it the wrong way. There we go. And then when we do something like this, I think I made a tangent there, unfortunately, but we'll just fill it in for now. Real simple, we just go in with the pencil tool, we outline, take it all the way to the edge of the selection, outline, outline, outline. Bears are trending. I don't know what that means. There are many types of bears. Radio bear I came up with 2007, somewhere in there. Yeah, and there's flats for those 2 panels. And see, when I do just the flats instead of going in and doing the shading like I did on that top panel, it goes a lot quicker. But it goes from this to an entirely other process where I add 3 layers of Ben-Day dots, all with equal weight, and it creates that nice vintage comic effect. So thanks for coming out tonight. I hope people found it interesting. You know, this is what I'll be working on till it's done. I'll be coloring like crazy. So we'll actually demonstrate the three. If people thought this was cool, I'll demonstrate the three color retro coloring process. So we talked about that show. I liked that show. I do like that show. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of their week and a pleasant weekend, and stay cool out there. All right. This. I'm gonna go over here. There's the infinite screen.